I have your brain scanned and permanently backed up in case something terrible happens to you, which it's just about to.
On to step number 37. Looks like we're going to build the receiver box mount and put the receiver box onto the chassis. That's what it looks like we're doing here. So we're going to take our receiver box bottom portion and we're going to place it with the antenna unit towards the back, just like it's shown in the directions. And we'll worry about the lid in a minute. The reason that we're pointing this towards the back is that the part number 28-4 and 28-3 are two different pieces. So we need to make sure that we get them on the appropriate side of the box. So we're going to take one of our little 3x8 screws, stick it through the bottom of the box. You can see there that the screw goes through the bottom, and we're going to place the appropriate part on the appropriate side. You can see that these have a little bevel in them. Focus. Maybe. We're not focusing. Oh well. Next time I turn the camera off, I'll reset it. But they fit down onto the little beveled ends on the battery box. So we're going to go ahead and screw that in and make sure it's properly oriented out like so. And then do the same on the other side. Oops, looks like I grabbed one of the wrong screws. To dig in here and see what we can find. There we go. So we have these put on, and then we're going to take a look at the directions again, and we're going to orient the box like it is shown on the chassis in the picture. And it looks to me like it just snaps in. So we're going to give that a shot and see what happens. And it looks like it's going to snap into these two empty holes towards the rear. And then these two little areas here I think are going to drop in to the little holes here. Yeah, they're going to drop into the other receiving holes on the back of the chassis to screw it in. So you're going to set this in. It looks like I'm doing it right here. I'm going to kind of set it in sideways and get that little puppy in there. Or it might look like we'll have to take one of these off. Yep. You know what, I think we're going to do it that way. We're just going to take one of these off. And put it inside the side rail here. Probably going to be the easiest way to do it. Put this one in. Yeah, there we go. A little bit easier that way, and then we'll screw it in. And it's not showing at this point to put any screws in the back here, so not quite sure what's going on there. They are beveled, so you know what? I think I'm going to put two screws in there for now, just to hold it in. You can see where they go, right in here. It's not showing them in the directions. However, it is there, and there are two beveled screw holes, so we're going to go ahead and... yeah, that screw's not going to work. You have to use a longer one. You know what? We're going to revisit that a little bit later on. Maybe there's something else that screws in there. I'm just looking in my screw tray here, and I don't see the appropriate sized bevel screws to put in there. So they may possibly be in another step. If you are following along with the directions are showing us at this point to go ahead and put your receiver into the receiver box and then mount your ESC to the outside. I'm sure that there's plenty of different ways to mount your electronics in here, so we're going to go ahead and let you deal with that in your own time, because we are not getting into electronics on this build. I'm going to go ahead and put the cover on and use the remaining 2 screws to secure it. And they're kind of short ones. Those will go in just like so. Somewhere I have another one. I have it set aside, but I think oh, here it is. I didn't lose it. Okay, so that's our battery box. On to step number 38. We're going to install the nerf bars or steps or whatever they're supposed to be. Kind of cool looking. I like the plastic on it. It's nice and flexible. These very simply, just if your chassis is sitting upright, they slip in so that the units are angled up on both sides, and they're universal. It doesn't matter which one you put in where. Directions are showing that the screws go in from the underside. Not sure why, but that's how we're going to do it. And it's not showing how far in or how far out they go. They are adjustable. If you take a look, there's holes, and you can adjust it by putting your pin screw in, and in different hole settings there. I'm going to just push them all the way in for now. We can most certainly reposition them later on if we want to. And we'll go ahead and, well, that does not want to start screwing in there. There we go. And just screw it until it's even. I'm going to do this on all 4. Kind of having to wiggle it to find the hole here. There we go. That hole doesn't want to quite line up, so I just had to give it a little bit of pressure. And then it screws right in. So that's basically going to be it for this step. Next step, on step number 39, it looks like we're going to be installing the battery tie down, or the battery deck area. So that ought to be fun. As soon as this is on, we're going to go ahead and dig those pieces out, get going. It's kind of cool because it's starting to look like something now, not just a whole bunch of random pieces. So this is when, for me, the build starts getting exciting. So here we go. We've got our little steps on. And we're moving on to the next step. Okay, we're going to get moving forward. I was just kind of pre-fitting some pieces here. We're going to get moving forward on directions number 39. And we are going to be using 3 of these little plastic spacers. And the spacers, you need to look at them because they are flat on one side. Get this to focus. They're flat on one side and they're beveled on the other. And there's 4 of these in there, 3 of which we're going to use right now. And if they are actually hiding inside of this little brace that we're going to be using, we had to cut them out. So we're going to go ahead and grab this little brace, and there's a long section and a short section here. So we're going to go ahead and grab it and hold it with the long section pointing backwards towards the rear of the chassis. And then there are 2 sets of holes here in the cross braces in the center. We're going to get these long screws that are called for in the directions, and we're going to stick them through the holes that are on the longer section towards the back. I'm going to hold on to those with our 2 fingers, and I'm going to slide 2 of these little spacers on there with the beveled side down. So the flat portion is going to rest against this little portion of the cage, and the beveled section is going to go down. And I don't know if you recall, but in the last little part of the directions, I was referring to these two holes in the back of the radio box, which I thought should have been screwed down, and they didn't really show up on the picture in the directions, but that's where these are going to drop down into. So we're going to hold them. It's kind of a little bit tricky, otherwise you get everything all over the place. You can move your chassis up if you want so that you're not turning everything upside down. And we're going to go ahead and place those in just like so into the back and screw them in. Then we're going to grab your third long screw, which is hiding here somewhere. Here it is. And another one of these little spacers. This spacer is going to set back down in the rear of the chassis. There's a hole in the center of the bracket that we just put on. And then we're going to grab the radio tie down. And the radio tie down, if you take a look at it, has a hole in the front, or actually in this case a hole in the back, a hole in the front, and then it's got an odd hole over to the side. That odd hole over to the side is going to go towards the front of your chassis. And then we're going to go ahead and set the plate on. And there's little pins that it drops down into on this little bracket, and it fits right in there. And then we're going to go ahead and drop the longer screw in the back here and screw it in. And then there's also a very, very short screw that we're going to screw into the front of the little metal battery bracket to hold it in. Okay, so we got this one screwed down. Don't want to screw it in too tight. Make sure all the little holes line up on this. Just like so. And we'll screw in the little short screw. Trying to keep all the little alignment pin holes lined up. Alright, that's in nice. And then it's showing us to go ahead and put the battery straps in, which we could probably do later, but why not? We'll do it now. Those look like they go from underneath. And feed back up. This is still nice and flexible here, so we can move it around a little bit, which does help out, especially when you're somewhat spastic like I am. There we go. I would tighten that all the way up, but not going to work. Did I put that on backwards? I think I did. We'll try putting it on the right way here. Turn it around. What clued me in is that I couldn't buckle the Velcro. Wouldn't stay latched. So we'll turn it around and see if that helps. There we go. As long as you can latch the Velcro, you're all set to go. So it looks like now we are going to take a look here, and it's telling me that we have optional fog lights and small lights. I'm not sure if they're included in this kit or not, so we are going to find out, and if they are, then we'll build them, and if not, we'll move on to the next set of directions.
Do not touch the operational end of the device. Do not look directly at the operational end of the device. Do not submerge the device in liquid, even partially.